Hello and welcome to TR's Place. I am TR. Today we're going to finish those two cards that I mentioned in the last video where I made the background and then cut it in half to create two cards. And just so you know that this I did have to speed it up quite a bit to fit it all in. It was pretty lengthy to do two cards in one sitting. Alright, so this is where we left off last time, where I had cut in half the piece that I had embossed so we could get two backgrounds. So first let's make a card base at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'll take the embossed panel over and cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4. I'm just putting things around to see where I want the placement of the balloon and the sentiment. Make sure the sentiment's right side up. I'm also going to lightly pencil around the sentiment so that I can put white Hero Unicorn ink down so the sentiment will show up better. You might remember from the previous video that when you ink over heat embossing, you have to rub over it to get the extra ink off. And if after you've inked up you can still see some of the pencil marks, just go around with an eraser and get those off so they don't show through. And inadvertently I had erased some of the ink too, so I just went back over it one more time. I'll hit it with a heat gun. Now, do you remember what I said, how to test to see if the ink is dry? Yes, put clear embossing powder over it, and if it's not dry, it will stick to it. Looky there. Yep, it stuck to it. So I'm just going to brush that off and go back to the heat gun. So after you hit it with the heat gun again, you need to wait till it cools. And is it sticking now? Let's see. Nope. Good job. Alright, a few things. We're going to set up the stamping platform, and I'm going to flip the door around so that it's ready for the clear stamp. Also, I use a piece of clear packaging from a stamp set so that I can stamp onto that, making sure I have it the right side up and aligned properly. Another thing that I wanted to point out is the Sizzix repositionable sheet I have on the platform. It just helps so that you don't have to use your magnets. Sometimes you have to stamp more than once, which is what this platform is so wonderful for, that you can stamp in the same position over and over. Because of that embossing, remember, the ink had a little bit of trouble adhering to where that embossed dots were, but we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, yay, we get to use up more of that terrible foam tape. So I'm just going to cover this hold back, and I'm going to speed through this so you don't have to agonize. While I'm doing this, I will say that the glue I'm using, I have a little pin that I put in the tip of it, and I don't know where the footage to this went, but the pin I used to make that little ornament must not have been stainless steel because it rusted in there, and I don't know if you'll see it, but there's a little bit of brown glue. I did have another background where I had spread glue all over the back, and it was all brown, but you know what, it was glue, so I just used it. I'm not going to waste it. Again, frugal. I have, since this footage, changed that pin to a stainless steel pin, and I'm very happy with it. All right, let's assemble this and fix up that sentiment like I had said. Because embossing is actually a plastic, ink will not stick to it most times, and if it gets wiped away, it removes the ink. So I just grabbed a permanent marker, and I'm going to speed through this, but I go over everything and correct all the little spots where the ink didn't adhere. Right, now for the balloon. I don't like that the bottom of that balloon is not supported, so I'm going to put another piece of my wonderful foam tape there, and then I'll also add a little bit of glue on top of the foam tape later because I don't trust the foam tape that they put on stickers. Sometimes foam tape will leave an adhesive on your scissors, so this is a little trick that I thought I'd show you. You can take that magic eraser and just rub it on it, and it takes it right off. You can get this at the dollar store. Right, to finish up the card, we're just going to add a little bit of bling. I have some flat sequins here. They do not have a hole in them. Here I've put 3 sets of 2, and in the sets there's 2 sizes. I thought that looked really nice. So this is the last step, and we'll move on to the second card. I like to be very transparent about products, so this tool, it's called a pick-me-up tool. I do not like it. It has some kind of clay substance at the tip that if you screw it down too far, too much comes out. It doesn't consistently pick up or release it well. I'm going to get a new one. And here's your first finished card. On to the next one. So be forewarned, this one goes very fast. I hope it's not too confusing. This is what I want it to look like in the end. I would give you the measurements of the dies, but they're like in 8ths and 16ths, so it was kind of confusing for me to do that. But this cut out the base layer, then I put another die on it and cut it again, which made a frame. That's important to remember. I took the next bigger die cut and cut out that black background layer. I used the 2nd and 4th die from the largest to make the printed frame. Then the little black frame that I already had cut out was from the 3rd and 4th dies. And then there was one cut in the middle of the 4th die. Now this part I put a little too much glue on, so I just picked up a scrap of paper and lifted some of that off. So here's that extra little frame that I had already cut from another project that I just glued right on top of that first framelit. And put the weight on it, of course. Clean up your area. That glue will get on the back of your card. Okay, now we'll start layering it up. I'll put that framelit on that solid black piece, which gives it like a 1/16 of an inch around it, and it looks perfect. I love it. Now that one that was cut with number 4 from the largest is going to go right in the middle, and of course using up my wonderful foam tape. Yay. Make sure it goes in the right direction to match where it was cut from. And we're getting the orientation for the sentiment. I just used a scrap piece of black paper and embossed it with white embossing powder, and then trimmed it up with my Tim Holtz Tonic Studio trimmer. I love this trimmer, it works so wonderful. Okay, just finishing up, I used my corner chomper to round that one corner. Now also I just want you to leave a comment which of these 2 cards you like best, and I will draw a name from the comments and send that one to you. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and be sure to thumbs up. Thanks.